See you again in the storyline of the film. Together I will discuss the storyline at Chanel. I will release a very interesting film for you to see the storyline. A U.S. war history film, released in mid-1998, has the theme of the war during the invasion of Normandy, France, in World War II, entitled Saving Private Ryan. The film was directed by Steven Spielberg and the screenplay was written by Robert Rodat. I will introduce the characters and the stars of this film to all of you, so that you don't skip before watching it. Tom Hanks, as Captain John H. Miller. This is the main character. Tom Sizemore, as Sergeant Michael Horvath. Edward Burns, as Private Richard Ribon, Gunner Barr. Jeremy Davies, as Atham, French and German translator. Barry Pepper, as Prada Daniel Jackson, a sniper. Adam Goldberg, as Prada Stanley Mellish. Vin Diesel, as Prada Adrian Caparzo, is one of the stars in the Fash film Furious. Giovanni Ribisi, as Irwin Webb, medical officer. Matt Damon, as Private James Francis Ryan, a paratrooper. On the IMDb site, the visitor rated 8.6 out of 10. This film tells the story of the adventures of Captain John Miller, in an attempt to rescue a soldier named Ryan, who lost his 3 brothers in the war, and is ordered to return to America by the United States Department of Defense. Okay, stick hands-free, symmetrical steady lay, and have a good time watching. The film begins when World War II veteran Harrison Young, or Old Ryan, and his family make a pilgrimage to Normandy American Heroes Cemetery. The veteran walked faster to visit the grave of the person he remembered so dearly. When he arrived, the veteran immediately knelt down, crying in front of a grave. The film scene changes to where the Normandy invasion was initiated. Normandy is a geographic area in France, the northern part bordering the English Channel, to the north. On June 6, 1944, we are addressed to one of the leaders of the invasion, named Captain John H. Miller, leading his troops across the German border, at Omaha Beach, Normandy. Before they reached the shoreline, Miller had instructed that the left and right must be prepared to secure a hole. Sergeant Horvath instructed, "Don't crowd, you must scatter so you are not prone to being shot. And keep weapons out of the sand. Follow the instructions and we will meet again at the beach." Arriving at the shoreline, they immediately received attacks from German allies. They didn't give time to respond. After that, Miller instructed Sergeant Horvath to keep his men away from the shore.
Hey, you guys! Anywhere but here! Soldier! Almighty! Every inch of this beach has been greased up! Mama! Mama! Follow me! Come on, Briggs!
Here is shown a kind of massacre of American soldiers all out by German allies.
Private here! Attention! Wait! You dog! Wait! 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 Dead, you son of a bitch! Wait! Son of a... Come on! Come on! Let him move! Fuck it! Let him move!
Arriving under the German Ally hiding hole, Miller and other warriors managed to take over the location from the Allies.
Westerners, this is Dog 1.
They're killed and that ain't fair!
Hey, Ryder, where's your BAR?
Jesus!
Come on, move it, keep it moving.
And they built a transit battalion in Normandy, France. The success of taking over Normandy was extraordinary. Here a lot of American soldiers died, as well as Miller. Many of his men died while heading to the shore. Switching to the United States, General George Marshall was told to Colonel Eric that 3 of the 4 soldiers Ryan brothers had died. Namely Sean Ryan, Peter Ryan, and Daniel Ryan. That her mother will receive 3 telegrams at once. His mother must be devastated by this. So that his mother would not receive the 4th telegram, the youngest Ryan or Officer James Francis Ryan, not to experience the same thing, and could be returned to his mother. George Marshall ordered an army to return Ryan safely. On the beach of Omaha, after 3 days later, in France, America sent a lot of military troops to the place. After that, it turns out that Miller was called to take orders through his battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Walter Anderson, played by Dennis Farina. Before giving the order to Miller, Anderson told Miller that the airborne or paratroopers should have opened a gap for us. But they jumped wrong instead, so that they became the target of a massacre. Miller informed Lieutenant Call Anderson that Sector 4 was secured. There we disabled the 88mm rifle and 2 minefields. Their resistance, they also paralyzed 4 of our tanks and several transport trucks. As well as getting 23 prisoners of war, we gave it to the related unit. Then Miller, given the task by Lieutenant Colonel Anderson, and this was directly assigned by his superiors, to find James France Ryan in Unit 101, who had lost his 3 brothers, and immediately brought him home. Miller also made public relations and chose members of his squad. 6 people were elected, namely Sergeant Horvath, Pratou Ribon, Prada Daniel Jackson, Irwin Wedd, Prada Adrian Caparzo, and Prada Stanley Mellish to serve on his mission, as well as a military cartographer, Timothy Affam, as translator of the local language, although he rarely uses weapons. In the absence of clearer information on where Ryan is, Miller's squad goes to Neville by walking through the village. After that, they found a village, again in armed contact with allies. When it was Caparzo, wanting to help a family. Before being shot, he was reminded not to help the family, and ordered the child back in his arms.
Take this goddamn kid!
But Caparzo did not heed Miller's warning. Finally Caparzo was shot dead by a German Allied sniper. Immediately Jackson's job, as a sniper, immediately took a position, and aimed at the German ally sniper. When the Allied sniper, again looking for a target, it turned out that he was first targeted at Jackson. Finally the German sniper was killed instantly, hit by Jackson's bullet right in the eye. When they entered the ruined house, and Horvath sat down to pick up the pieces of stone that had entered his shoes, while sitting, a wooden block was accidentally hit by a brick wall and the wall collapsed. Apparently, the German allies were again resting in the ball. They were shocked and mutually hardened their necks to put down their weapons.
Drop him now!
Finally the other raider who joined immediately fired the bullet first, and ended with the death of a group of allies. Miller and his team also continued their journey and looked for the whereabouts of Officer James Frederick Ryan, so they could be in a team of soldiers. There is named Ryan, then Miller informs you that his brother is dead, and we are assigned to take you home. Ryan also cried asking to go home, but when Miller said that his brother was killed in the war, Ryan replied that all his siblings did not participate in the war but were still attending school. Knowing that Miller was the wrong soldier he was looking for, Miller apologized to Ryan because of the wrong person. Miller's troops were told that the landing point for the paratroopers, which Ryan was with, had landed in Vierville. Because it was already evening, they had to spend the night at a place of worship. The next day they headed for Vierville. Once there, Lucky, one of the paratroopers, had his hearing damaged by the Servahan bombs, which Ryan's group was in Vierville, and he said that all the paratroopers were scattered, but they had a relative point in Ramel.
Right by my head.
Got it, got it. You know Private Ryan? Ryan!
No, James Francis Ryan. The guys were coming here to the rally point. Ran into a colonel who was bridge. That's the last I seen of him, sir.
Great!
Miller's troops headed for Ramel. On their way they found the corpse of a dead and rotting soldier. Not far from there, Miller and his team encounter a German ally who is at the location of the obsolete radar they are using as his back building. So they had to run right through the camp, and they managed to kill almost all German soldiers.
Who's going left? All right. Up and switch off with Jackson.
But a member of Miller's squad, Irwin Wade, as the medical team was shot dead.
Be okay. Be okay. Mel, get your phone. Lift him up. All right, move him over. Come on. Easy. Put some pressure.
About the size of an acorn.
Okay, put him on. Put some more pressure on it. Yeah, right here. I'm gonna put your hand on it. We got some pressure on it. Right there.
I could use a little more morphine.
Here you go. Wade. Here you go.
Officer Richard Reiben found a member of the German allies who was still alive and beat him, infuriating all the members of Miller's army, torturing him and having to dig a grave for Irwin Wade. When Reiben wants to shoot dead the German ally, Affam protests to Miller because the prisoners cannot be killed. Miller finally took it off, and told him to walk away blindfolded and surrender to the Allied patrol. Astonished and disillusioned by Miller's actions, Reiben protests and quarrels with Sergeant Horvath, who threatens the whole team. Initially Miller was silent and did nothing, even though Horvath had almost killed Reiben with his gun. Finally Miller spoke up, talking about himself coming from, and what his previous job was. Is a teacher, and teaches English and baseball at a small school in Pennsylvania. Reiben, who did not expect and was surprised by Miller's previous profession, was silent and wanted to continue his journey, after burying Wed's body. A teacher of English and sports to be Tom Hanks, who leads as captain here. He must be someone good at strategizing. Continue. Miller's troops finally reach Ramel, and destroy a German reconnaissance vehicle, assisted by a small force, including Ryan on board. The two troops join forces and Miller then tells Ryan that all of his siblings are dead, and about the purpose of his mission, which is to bring Ryan back to America. Ryan initially did not want to leave his troops, but after hearing Reiben's words that two of his friends had died looking for Ryan, Caparzo and Wed, Ryan agreed. However, the base where Ryan's troops are assigned is the border area, and there will be an attack from the German allies towards it. Miller's troops finally help and join forces against the coming German troops. After that, Miller as the supreme leader, set a strategy to intercept the German Allied forces. With the remaining weapons, they devised a strategy and made bombs to destroy their tanks, and their Rio cars. While for the Allied flak cannon, it can be destroyed with ordinary destructive bombs. Before the German allies crossed the bridge, Miller and Ryan had a chance to tell stories and have jokes in Ryan, reminiscing about Ryan's last day with his three siblings, approximately 2 years ago.
We could try a sticky bomb. We had 1,000 kids like you.
I can't see my brother's face.
Specific. Something you've done together.
Often. I mean, that's got her shirt up. So he's working on this broad. And so Al Sharpton hears this and goes running right at a kerosene lantern. The thing explodes. The whole barn almost goes.
Not long, the German allies came. They immediately got ready to take their respective positions that Miller had shown. Looks German more fully. They brought 2 Tiger tanks, several machine guns, 1 Flak 38 cannon, and approximately 50 troops. Miller's troops stepped into action.
Got any more of that?
One by one the members of Miller's army died, and when the strategy to destroy the border bridge was about to be carried out, the German tanks failed. Miller was shot on the bridge by Steamboat Willie, a German soldier who was not killed by Miller's troops while near Rommel.
Go!
Been knocked out of me.
Get out of here! Take cover! We're gonna blow this bridge! Get out! Tiger coming! He's coming across the bridge! Where the hell are you going?
As the Tiger tank is about to cross the bridge, an injured Miller attempts to shoot it with a pistol, but is unsuccessful. When the tank was in the middle of the bridge, a unit of P-51 Mustang, American air fighter shot the tank. And was followed by several other P-51 units and additional troops. Upham, who was hiding near Steamboat Willie, appeared suddenly pointing at him, and fired. Him was the first person he killed in the war. Ryan then approached Miller, who was dying, and heard his last words before dying. Which roughly means, "James, don't waste your life." Miller was also carried by his spirit by the angel of death. Left only Miller's body and the determination of Ryan. Then, the film goes back to the time when old Ryan, who was a veteran, made a pilgrimage to Miller's grave. While asking his wife, "Am I already a good man?" And his wife answered, "Already." Ryan then told Miller's grave that he had appreciated his life and had become a good man. Ryan then pays homage to Miller's grave in the film. The end, the touching. All I know is that the more people I kill, the more distant the house feels. The quote is taken from the masterpiece of the famous director, Steven Spielberg. This best war film gives film lovers an overview of the events of World War II. Everyone admits, the best scenes depicting the battle situation on Omaha Beach can only be done by Spielberg's magic hands. He can truly describe how war is analogous to hell in the world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, leave a trace of your visit in this channel. By the way, like, share, comments, and subscribe. For those of you who want to request a film story, you can send it via comments. If God allows, I will review it. See you in the next film story.